we'll chat to Alistair, who's been sponsored by, which union was it again?
Kia ora. So, yeah, the trip itself was paid for by the Service Employees International Union, which is a American-based union which also has members in Canada and Puerto Rico. They've got 2 million members, so they are backing the fast food rights campaign around the world, trying to unionise and take on McDonald's, which I actually learned on this trip is the second biggest employer on the planet, after Walmart being the first. So, yeah, it's a serious attempt to try and unionise the ununionised sections of the working class, basically. And they were curious to have representatives from New Zealand come over to talk to them about the work we've done in fast food organising here, and also just be part of what was going on there, which was an incredible experience.
Yeah, so Alistair was taken to the UK and to the US to hang out with various people of various stripes. UK Labour Party for a little bit, various unions over there, went to a demonstration at the Top Shop, and then over to the US, to Detroit. And where else did you go in the US? Was it just Detroit?
No, well, we went over to the SEIU convention. So every 4 years they have a convention. They have about 4,000 or 5,000 delegates there, representing a union of 2 million members, which, coming from New Zealand, where my union has about 7,000 members, was quite a eye-opening experience. So that was in Detroit, the convention itself. But after that, they bussed us over to Chicago, where McDonald's was having its annual corporate shareholders meeting at their corporate campus in a place called Oak Brook, outside of Chicago. So, yeah, a few thousand of us marched on their headquarters, yelled and shouted and caused a bit of ruckus. And, yeah, so we were over there to be part of that as well, to wave the international flag,
Yeah, so, and that was, I'm guessing that was you got that opportunity through the success of the 0 Hours campaign, is my assumption.
Yeah.
Or part of the...
Well, the series attempts to organise McDonald's workers into trade unions and try and get higher pay, better conditions and respect at work in other countries are quite recent. So we're talking in the past 3 or 4 years. It was about 3 years ago that there were the major Fight for 15 strikes and arrests and protests in New York City. And so the Fight for 15 campaign is a US-based campaign to get a $15 minimum wage, not just for fast food workers, but for all workers. And it's a campaign that's independent of the SEIU, but it's backed by the SEIU. And actually, as of this convention, the Fight for 15 organising committee people have joined the SEIU, so they're formalising that relationship a lot more. So, well, I mean, a lot of people in America don't know where New Zealand is. I was asked more than once, did I drive there? I was just sort of like, it would have taken a while and gotten a bit wet, mate. But, cheers for asking. But, people are, to varying degrees, aware of Unite Union and the work we've done here. Because, I was a kid when it got started here, but in the past 10 to 12 years, Unite Union has organised fast food workers and won collective agreements, won wage increases, and most recently, as you say, ended 0-hour contracts and won guaranteed minimum secure hours for fast food workers. And that's pretty much a world first. There's very few places in the world where McDonald's workers have any rights whatsoever, unless they happen to be, let's say, Scandinavian countries where there's some pretty decent labour laws in place. For a country like New Zealand with some viciously anti-worker laws where bosses can just do whatever the hell they want and ride roughshod over workers' rights, for us to have, guaranteed hours, guaranteed breaks, certainly not high pay, but guaranteed pay increases over time and so on, that's a major victory. So, yeah, the international comrades have heard of that, and I guess that's why we were invited, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go into the stuff you do here in a little bit. We'll talk about that trip first. So you met John McDonald. Now, for the listeners who don't know, John McDonald is a close ally of Jeremy Corbyn in the UK Labour Party, and he's essentially the figurehead and kind of the brains behind the actual hard left of UK Labour, which isn't a particularly huge faction. In fact, it's probably one of the smallest in the party. However, it is a quite long-standing faction, and folk like John McDonnell and Jeremy Corbyn have been stalwarts of the party, and they've been in Parliament in the UK for years and years and years. So they're very well in place, even if they're a fairly marginal faction up until pretty much the last year or so. So you went over and met John McDonnell when you went to the UK. How was that?
I did. I mean, one thing I'd just say to that quickly is that, on the one hand, John McDonnell is now the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. So a very significant position, basically our shadow finance spokesperson. And I guess they're a marginal faction in the Parliamentary Labour Party among the MPs. And the party itself, among the membership, I mean, these people are stupendously popular. So Labour's in the interesting position in the UK of having like a increasingly and vocally left-wing membership base supporting these people, but a bunch of long-serving, well-off, we'll say moderate at best and corrupt and right-wing traitors at worst among the actual MPs. So
the Blairites, as they're called.
Yeah, the Blairites. So hopefully their day is coming soon. It was fantastic. So basically me and Victoria Hopgood, who's the president of Unite and a McDonald's worker in Wellington, and Mike Treen, who's the national director of Unite, we spoke at a fast food rights campaign meeting organised by the Bakers Union in the UK. Yep. So the Bakers Union are the ones organising fast food workers there. They've got about 25,000 members, so in the UK they're quite a small union, but I mean they are fantastic. Like honestly, I do not have enough words to praise the people like Ian, Gareth, Lorna. Like these people are real militant trade unionists, and it was incredibly impressive to see the work they're doing. So they organised a meeting which we spoke at alongside John McDonnell. And I guess two things I'd say to that are that, on the one hand, I hadn't realised until that meeting the degree to which this guy had been involved from day one, had been a central figure from day one. This is not a man rocking up to try and get a few votes and then, off he goes on his bike.
Yeah.
This is a guy who rocked up, and the speech is actually on YouTube. It'd be well worth tracking down. If you probably just YouTube John McDonnell fast food rights meeting, that should hopefully bring it up. Otherwise, it's on the Unite Union YouTube page. And yeah, anyway, he laid out a concrete plan for organising the unorganised, for transforming working class politics in the UK, and yeah, it was strategic. And I've never before in my life heard a Labour MP speak who didn't either bore me to tears or say things that I actively opposed. So it was like stepping into a parallel reality where I'm like, this guy's fantastic. He's actually like not only on our side, but a serious leader with strategic vision. I came away with immense respect for him. He ended his speech by like explaining the bloody Marxist, Labour theory of value using making burgers in fast food restaurants as an example. I was just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. So no, a very cool guy, and all the best luck to the UK comrades, both in organising fast food workers and getting a better deal there, and also in hopefully resisting the Blairite counter-revolution in the Labour Party.
So while you're also, there's the other thing I picked up on. You went to a demonstration at a Topshop in London, and I saw a picture of you with Ian Bone from Class War. Now, for the followers who don't know, Ian Bone is the president of the only quote-unquote electoral anarchist party in the UK, and he's just a great person. He's the grumpy anarchist granddad that you kind of picture when you see old photos of anarchists in the 60s or 70s or whatever. He's exactly that. He goes out, he gets a pint, and he gets angry at a demonstration. He seems like a hell of a lot of fun to be around. But anyway, you went to a Top-Stop demonstration.
That was straight after the meeting. So I didn't actually know we were going to that. So we leave the meeting, I grab my red Unite flag, and we sort of go for a stroll, and 5 minutes later we're occupying a busy intersection in central London and bringing traffic to a standstill. So just another holiday, But yeah, no, it was very, very cool action. What it was about was there's a sort of high-end, well, I don't know if it's that high-end, but a clothing shop chain in the UK called Topshop, and they have these two migrant worker cleaners who attempted to unionise and were fired as a result. Well, one was fired and one was suspended. Basically, they're being targeted by the bosses for attempting the very basic right of forming a trade union and sticking up for your rights. If you've seen the movie Bread and Roses, one of Ken Loach's films, it's basically that, right down to the sort of charismatic, attractive union organizer guy leading the charge, It was again, like this strange parallel reality I was in. But yeah, the class war were there. They're an interesting bunch. I didn't actually get a photo taken with Ian Bone myself, because I thought that'd be a bit too sort of, hero worshippy, and that's not very anarchist, is it, Tyler? Joe Carolyn of Unite Union and Social Style Tutor did get a photo taken, so clearly he has no hesitations on that front, Joe. But no, I shook Ian's hand, said hello to him, and the class war people certainly did make the demo a lot of fun. They had smoke bombs going off. Eventually the cops moved us on from occupying the intersection itself, and we just went off to hit top shop after top shop and bang on the windows and, shut down business for a while. But yeah, no, I will say I think it's a bit silly to drink on demonstrations because, I think you've got to be a little bit more careful in that, but all the class war lot were chugging beers the whole time, so I don't know, it worked out well enough. It was interesting at one point, there was this... we timed the occupation quite well, so there's some very flash cars being held up, really expensive cars, and these, rich businessmen in suits sitting in them like, oh God, who are these disgusting lefties occupying the road? And all the class war women were sort of striking these languid poses on the bonnets of the cars. And, yeah, it was quite something. And in response to the drink thing, all I'm going to say is Bob Sample from the Red Feds, it might not have been him himself, but Red Fed folks on a Sunday used to get up on stage and fall off of the stage drunk giving speeches back in the 1910s. So there's a little bit of something to it. Death to wowserism, absolutely. But yeah.
But we'll talk about your time in Chicago, because you went to a demonstration at the Macca's big CEO meeting. And from your descriptions, you battled both a storm and CEOs that day. So we'll chat a little bit about that.
More the storm than the CEOs. The CEOs either hid inside or stayed home for the day. We were in America for two reasons. One, for the every 4 years, the SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, have their convention. So we were there for that, to witness that and take part in that. And just to see it was incredible. I mean, they had 5,000 delegates there representing a union of 2 million members. So coming from tiny little New Zealand, it's just a whole different world. And I met so many amazing people. I was so inspired by the level of passion, dedication, energy these people have. I mean, you spend 5 minutes with these people and si se puede, I believe that we can win. It is just truly inspiring. But after the convention in Detroit was finished, we went to a place called Oak Brook, which is just outside of Chicago, and that's where McDonald's have their corporate campus headquarters. And yeah, they were having their annual shareholders meeting, and we responded with mass demonstrations, marches on the office. And as we were getting ready to set off on the first day, some rather nasty clouds hanging out on the horizon, and it just starts belting down. I mean, my God, it was... I haven't ever been in a thunderstorm quite like that before, so it added a certain gravitas to the situation, I'll say, but yeah, I will let the Dairy Workers Union know that these jackets they say are waterproof are not waterproof.
All right, we're just running out of time in the studio. We started a little bit late. So before we sign off, how about you just give a quick rundown of Unite and how you got into Unite, and just sort of why Unite is the union that everyone talks about periodically every few months, is the union that's in the news, gets up to the most seemingly. And you see it at every demonstration. There's countless Unite flags everywhere. So how about you just talk a little bit about getting into Unite and what Unite has for fairly young workers like yourself.
Yeah, I'm getting less young by the day. I feel like Unite is a strong union. We're a militant union, but we're also a creative union. So, I was born in 1991, and that was the same year that the Employment Contracts Act was introduced by the national government of the time, and that smashed the union movement. So, our entire generation, you and me both, has grown up in a time where people aren't saying, I don't want to join the union or I don't like unions. They say, what is a union?
Yeah.
Our entire generation has no experience of collective power, collective strength, and collectively fighting to win. So, on a very basic level, I think that it's essential that we reintroduce that. It's essential that we start to fight back, because wages have been going down, conditions have been going down, and the rich have been getting richer and richer for a very long time. And yeah, I work at McDonald's, and to me it's as simple as, if you want to not only stick up for yourself, but help you and your fellow workers to stick up for each other, you have to unionize. You have to reintroduce this concept and make people understand that we have power. and that if we use it collectively and together, if we have each other's backs and we are prepared to tell the bosses to bugger off and give us a pay rise, give us secure hours, just treat us with respect and dignity, then not only can we do that, but in doing that we can begin the process of transitioning to a better and more equal and ultimately socialist world.
That is, I was quite sure that was really good. Very good for a few minutes off the top of your head.